Hey everybody, welcome back to Chairman Chats. And as promised, we have Judy Nichols. Judy Nichols is the chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. Judy is a fifth generation Texan, moved to Nederland, Texas in July of 1994. After working across the country in executive capacity and as a certified trainer for three multinational pizza corporations, Judy was finally able to achieve her goal of settling down in Southeast Texas permanently where she became a very successful franchisee for Papa John's Pizza. With her beloved husband, Michael, they have incorporated and operate a management company and a land development company in addition to their 3-unit pizza franchise. Judy has provided strong leadership to thousands of young adults entering the workforce and has become increasingly concerned over the last decade with the diminishing potential for their future. After graduating from Greenville High School in Greenville, Texas, Judy attended East Texas State University, now known as Texas A&M Commerce, University of Kentucky Ashland, where she obtained a business degree, Lamar University and Lamar Institute of Technology School of Real Estate. She is a licensed real estate agent and accomplished businesswoman, and along with her husband, they have 3 grown children and 5 grandpuppies. Several of those puppies I have come to know and love very much. So Judy, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure, Alan. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I got to tell you, first thing we want to talk about is, right now we're in week 3 of this shelter in place, stay at home, forced isolation, whatever you want to call it. But we are really starting to see some severe adverse effects on our small businesses. And you being a small business owner and having a background in that, tell us what have been some of the consequences and ramifications, and how do we get this economy back going so that we can get Americans back to work and our small businesses back open?
Well, it's incredibly concerning, Alan. We've taught the American people to not be the American people. No longer are we going to gather. What's that going to do to our gyms? What's that going to do to our theaters? How are they going to go back to life before the government changed it so dramatically? My business has seen an incredibly unfair advantage because the government mandated all my competitors stop competing against me. And I feel like I won through default. It's not,
And you're talking about in the pizza franchise industry.
Yeah, we're a pizza delivery company. We're essential. We're essential. Yeah, thank goodness that there's now aggregators in the internet. Aggregators are the DoorDashes of the world and the Uber Eats that can deliver for my competitive restaurants. But, I want to win because I have a superior product with great kids taking great care of my neighbors. I don't want to win because all my competitors had to shut their doors. That's just not reasonable. It's not the American way.
And you bring up a great point. It is almost as if some people are deciding who are the winners and the losers when they get the opportunity to say what is essential and what is non-essential. Who would have ever thought that on an Easter Sunday we would see churches, their doors closed because someone deemed them not to be essential. So when we look at what is happening and the unemployment rate that is increasing, some businesses may not be able to come back. And we have this stimulus that has been instituted and passed and signed into law. What really can we do to get our businesses back to work? And can we just simply trust business owners to be the adults and make the right decisions about precautions during this COVID-19 issue?
Well, you would think, in the litigious society that we have to be very measured in our responses and approaches to market forces. It's just really, really deeply concerning that the apple cart's been so completely upset. The rules have changed overnight. The business model and business kind of gets used to this a little bit. I built my business model based on a minimum wage that was $3.65. That's changed a lot through government mandate, so you kind of get used to dealing with responding to just the whims of we the people. But this is pretty unprecedented. I'm not exactly confident that we're going to come out the other side looking at all like we looked going into this.
And when you say that, what's your biggest concern?
Well, what are the gyms of the world going to do? What is the theaters of the play? A restaurant can probably put up plexiglass between booths and, put in some measures that can make people comfortable, but for something that gives us no, or has so to date given us no more fatality than a mild flu season, we've completely upended business, and all the business models, the way all of them were written, mine to the good, yours to the bad, his to the we don't even know yet, because he has no idea if he's going to be able to open again. This is going to have some, I'm afraid, really long-term ramifications that I think we've got a ways to go yet to see how this is going to affect us in the long run.
Now, if you were invited to the White House to be part of an economic task force about reopening this country for business, because you have extensive experiences in small business, what advice, what counsel would you give to the president and other gathered people there in the White House?
It is a bit above my pay grade, but
No.
The one thing that I would preach loudly and proudly and repeatedly until the American people get the message is be not afraid. We're in much stronger hands than any government could ever deliver. This pandemic has just not wrought the peril that it was first thought to bring to bear. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback it and say, oh, it's not so bad now, but it's really not so bad now. It's nowhere near what a normal flu season would give you. You look at the deaths you get from the car. Are we just going to all stop driving? Are we all going to hibernate for life because the wheel kills so many people? What about suicide kills a lot of people? I hate to tell you, nobody's getting out of this alive. Nobody. Our faith needs to be where it belongs, and not so much, I think, in government, which is one of the things that got me involved in politics.
Well, let's make that transition. Let's take off the small business owner hat of Judy Nichols and put on your chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party hat. How has this COVID-19 really thrown a kink into your operations? As far as we know, this is the time when we would be having our county convention and Senate district conventions. How have you adjusted because of the shelter at home and stay at home? How are you able to continue to get your message out in Jefferson County?
We haven't. We were supposed to have our county convention on March the 21st, according to statute. That's when it's required by the rules that we have it. I gavelled the convention in the county. We have a county convention. Some places in Texas have a Senate district convention, but in Jefferson County, it's a county convention. And I gavelled it in and postponed it to a time later determined by the chair. And I'm talking to my leadership team now, and a lot of them are as frustrated as I am that we've just given up our sovereignty to this virus. But, by the same token, there's a whole lot of people in my constituency who are no longer going to feel comfortable gathering in a group to have a convention. And that's pretty reasonable, because most of the people that are involved in party politics are older. You're primarily retired at that point in life where you can participate in the political process that actively, as far as getting, conventions and elected office. So it's just, I'm trying to measure, how do I responsibly make sure all my constituents get heard? Because that's what a convention's all about. It's making sure that everyone gets heard. This is a time when we come together and define what it means to be a Republican in Jefferson County, Texas. And then all that's amalgamated with all the platforms of all the other counties. And then we come together now in July and have a state convention and define what it means to be a Republican in Texas. And now the national convention is going to be held later, obviously. You would think. It's just a domino effect that we have no solutions for in leadership. We don't know if we're going to be able to add a digital component. The parliamentarian feels like that's a violation of the rules. Well, we need to change the rules. Well, the SREC can't change the rules. That's the state Republican Executive Committee. They can't meet and change the rules until they can meet in person. Well, they can't meet in person in the month of April. Do we have a meeting set up for May 1st? No, because we don't know if the shelter in place is going to be lifted, and we can meet in greater numbers than 10 people in the state of Texas on May 1st. But I think we should have that ready to go at that time. It's just a great time. It's uncomfortable that it's a time of turmoil because this is the political process. It's pretty important.
Now, when you mention these things, being in the military for, 20 plus some odd years, we had this mantra of, improvise, adapt, and overcome, because you don't sit around and say, okay, we can't do this. You got to figure out what can be done. So, as a chairman, and then also as a small business owner, but as a chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, what are some of the recommendations? What are some of the things that you think could be done? And how can we leverage technology so that we don't become paralyzed through this system of analysis?
Well, I am frustrated by that system of analysis. I guess you can tell. I've looked into the rules, and the rules are not incredibly clear because at a time when these rules were written, technology wasn't what it is today, and this was not really foreseen that people could actually meet and gather without being close to one another. I just feel like we should go ahead and meet, but then I'm putting my own personal belief system into effect, which isn't how you represent your constituents. There are going to be people that no matter what are going to be very uncomfortable coming together in a convention setting, and they would like to meet electronically. I would like to put that into place. The rules are a little gray. I probably could if I wanted to, but should I invent the wheel on my own as a county party chair, or should I wait for economies of scale? This is a time when people are going to be voting on platform planks and committee business. There needs to be a secure methodology for that voting to take place, and it seems like it would be much more reasonable to let the party get the economies of scale together and come up with a methodology for voting that are going to benefit all of my constituents, and not just the brave or foolhardy that want to come out and meet in a group.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe there's some amalgamation of the two. I know that a lot of people are expressing frustration when you hear members of the House of Representatives or the Senate saying that we can't get together and meet and vote or whatever. We're not comfortable with coming back to Washington, D.C. I think this is a great opportunity for us to look at all the different levels of technology that we have now, the innovation that we have now that can enable us to do the things that you're right, no one would have ever thought possible. I remember in 1991 when I was in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was there for 6 months. I got 2 letters during the entire time. But in 2005 to 2007, when I'm in Afghanistan, I'm sitting there in my hooch doing the Skype thing and going back and forth and looking at my wife and daughters in real time. So I think it's important that we improvise and we adapt and overcome. In the closing minute that I have, Judy, where can people find you and be connected with the Jefferson County Republican Party?
We're a pretty active Facebook community here in Jefferson County. Jefferson County Republican Party on Facebook is a really good place. You can reach me personally on my personal Facebook. We have a website. I think you got the link you can put in the comments. But websites are almost old news nowadays. Everything seems to be moving at the speed of social media. And like you, I see no reason why we can't innovate our way out of this. We're Americans. It's what we do.
Absolutely right. And finally, what is the one big challenge that you have in this election cycle going forward down there in Jefferson County, Texas, which is Beaumont, Port Arthur?
One, I wish if I was to choose just one, it would be turning my county red. Yeah, we're getting real close. We've been purple for the last election cycle or two. I'd like to get a much more homogeneous community where everybody in my county feels like they can feel at home at my party. That there's not an air of exclusivity that is promulgated by the media. There's a lot of little challenges, but the big one is I want to turn my county red.
All right, we're going to help to do that. All right, Judy Nichols, Chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. Thanks for being with us on Chairman Chats.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, Judy.